A show based on the facts, honesty, the man, the myth, the legend, Constitutionalist Joseph M. Leonard.
Welcome to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's L-E-N-A-R-D. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show! Hey gang, just a brief intro into Music Weeks. Here they are now. I was also considering going down the list of all the people that you see over the Music Weeks to be part of each episode, let you know who's coming or who may have been or whatnot. The list has grown. Too big to really go into here. I don't want to take that much time. Music Weeks, thankfully, has grown into a pretty big deal. So it's grown a lot more than just the one Music Week. It originally was going to start out as into multiple weeks now. Let's go ahead and get into this particular day's Music Weeks episodes. And I'm trying to drop them Monday through Friday each week of Music Weeks. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Politics Podcast. Although this is Music Weeks, not necessarily anything to do with faith or politics. And for those behind the scenes video viewers, you could see I'm wearing a Joan Jett and the Blackhearts concert shirt. For Music Weeks, I'm trying to dig up old concert shirts to wear a different one each episode. And today just happens to be Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. And we were talking in the green room. My guest, Benjamin Barnes, who I'm welcoming to the show now, has a story about opening up for Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Yeah, I was playing with Les Claypool at the time, and we got a gig at the San Francisco Black and White Ball, and we opened up for Joan Jett at this theater that was made outside City Hall.
Interesting. So let's back up to where were you born? Where were you raised? You already hinted at where are you now? San Francisco, California. So, but yeah, where were you born and raised in California?
Well, I was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and then moved to Oregon. I left Kalamazoo when I was 6 months old, and we moved to LA for a couple of years, and then up to Ashland, Oregon. And then I went to high school in Corvallis, Oregon, and then I came down here to San Francisco after high school to go to college.
Yeah, so you were too young at your time in Kalamazoo, as the joke goes, to have potentially gone to the Burger King to meet Elvis and Van Morrison where they were working, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, do you... like I say, I don't script shows, so already we're going down off the beaten path idiocy. Do you buy into the Elvis is really still alive thing?
Well, I know he's still singing in heaven, but I don't think he comes to Earth very often. Maybe his ghost goes back to Graceland and haunts Graceland.
Yeah, haunts the visitors that show up. Okay, so indeed, that's a way off the beaten path kind of question. So at any rate, indeed, what you're doing these days in San Francisco, California, you label yourself as musician and educator. So let's explore that a little bit.
Yeah, I had an accident and I couldn't play music for a couple years. I had to relearn how to play. And during that time, I went back to school and I got my multiple subjects teaching credential. And I'd been teaching violin and viola and guitar since like 1987. And I went and I taught grade school and kindergarten, third and fifth grade, and junior high, seventh and eighth grade history. And then in 2017, I was asked to do some consulting for the U.S. Department of Education. We were grading prosody tests for fourth graders. And that was an experience, listening to a lot of fourth graders stumble through poetry and stories on recordings that we had to rate and give 5. There were 5 points, and so we had to give anywhere between 1 and 5. 1 being the not competent to read, and then 5 being an excellent reader. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had a conversation with Franklin Sane, who's a Bowie impersonator, and he had a similar, well, not exactly the same, but an injury. He was a hockey player, got injured, couldn't play hockey. That kind of pivoted him to music. You were in music, had an injury, pivoted you a little bit to education for a while, and still ongoing.
So he was a Bowie impersonator?
Oh, he is a Bowie impersonator, yeah. But former hockey player, now turned Bowie impersonator.
Who did he play for?
Actually, you said Kalamazoo. I'm thinking Kalamazoo, but it might have been Marquette. Something Rangers. I'm forgetting right now. I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, he played semi-pro hockey for a while till he got injured. So
yeah. But what was the injury?
He didn't say, I didn't ask you. Wasn't necessarily completely relevant to the conversation, just that it happened.
Oh, yeah.
If you care to share, you don't have to. How indeed did you get injured? Was it during a gig or completely unrelated? Or
it was completely unrelated. I was in an impact and it shattered my skull, and my skull had to be rebuilt, and over about maybe 15 surgeries to put my head back together.
Boy!
And I had a broken collarbone and broken scapula, which have pins and screws in them now. So I had to do a lot of physical therapy and mental recovery to be able to relearn how to do things. And my arm, I didn't have any range of motion, so I couldn't play guitar or violin. And that took a few years to get all that back. And now I can play. I can't play as well as I used to, but I can play on a professional level. And I make my living playing music, busking in BART stations and on street corners and playing gigs and teaching.
Oh, so kind of like in New York, there's the naked cowboy with the guitar.
Yeah, well, I'm not naked.
Yeah.
My violin and some backing tracks. I've been busking ever since I was 5. My dad and mom were hippies, and we lived in a blue school bus, and we would go out to just places outside restaurants and stuff, and my dad would have us sing with him, and we'd make some money. People would give money because we were me and my brother were 2 cute kids singing along with our dad. I say a lot about it in my new book, the Loosened Lucent Associations Jazz Out of Memorography of Music, Mischief, and Madness that I just published this year. And it's available on Amazon. Sorry, I'm just doing a little plug.
Oh, hey, nope. Fully expected.
Yeah.
Now, as for your music, can people still hire you for a gig?
Yeah. I play weddings and funerals, and I play concerts. I won a $20,000 grant in 2023 to put on a concert from the San Francisco Arts Commission, and I spent $23,000 on the concert, but I did get the grant money.
So it was a losing money ordeal there, but good exposure, I would imagine.
Yeah. I get to put supported by the San Francisco Arts Commission on all my YouTube videos, and it's a nice thing to say to get some. And I charge a little bit more too for playing weddings and funerals and corporate gigs. And I've got a business called The Strolling Violinist, and we have all the social media, Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and also Google business page and a website, things like that.
Yeah, I normally would wait till the end of where can people reach out, what is your website, but since you already mentioned it, what indeed is the website?
Yeah. Are you thinking about playing some music?
Today?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't planning on it, but just a discussion with you, how you are, what you do. All things related to music and entertainment this week, but not necessarily expecting anyone to perform. But what is that website?
It's thestrollingviolinist.com.
I'm writing it down. The Strolling Violinist.com, and of course that will appear in the Buzzsprout transcript extended show notes, that link.
That's in construction right now. It'll be done in a week.
Oh, well, okay. So by the time this airs, it'll be there. That's So let's pivot a little bit to, funny to talk about websites, because I had to reach out to you. You did provide a link to something, and it's returning an error, which you are looking into. Let's talk about your The Coach's Corner. And I did try to look at it, but oops, can't find it.
Well, The Coach's Corner, we don't have a website for that. It's a podcast that we are a segment of with The Price of Business. They asked me to do a podcast for artistpreneurs, giving business tips for them. And we have social media for it, a YouTube channel and Instagram and Facebook. And then the podcast was aired every day. My segment hasn't been aired every day, but The Price of Business is national, coast to coast broadcast of a businessman named Kevin Price. He's got a nice show.
Yeah, I'm going to pivot back to the injury, because I forgot to mention and ask the question during that segment that we were discussing it. My dad was also a musician, Ted Leonard Jr. and the Polka Kings. They have 3 albums out. Yeah. And there's at terrorstrikes.info/The Polka Kings, a tribute to him on my book page.
Nice.
But at any rate, I mentioned that to say he fell down the stairs one time. Things were out of way. Thank God didn't completely fracture and crack the skull and need reconstruction like you had to go through, but he had to have that halo thing on for a while to prevent him from moving his head. So my question is, I take it you probably had to have a long time with your head in that metal halo thing to prevent you from moving your head, yes?
Did, and there was a hole in my head, so I had to wear a helmet 24/7, a helmet and a big neck brace. So that was kind of a pain in the butt.
Not a lot of fun, I would imagine.
Yeah, I broke 2 vertebrae too, so that right in my neck. Yeah.
How are you feeling these days?
I feel good. I've made a good recovery from traumatic brain injury, and I've got full range of motion in my arm again. I have a skin graft on my head, and there's a muscle from my back and a skin graft on my head that I'm always worried is gonna deteriorate. So I've got a little bit of trauma from that.
Yeah.
The originally they froze what was left of the bone, and they put that back in my skull, and then it opened up. It started weeping. So then they had to do a microsurgery where they took the lateralis muscle from my back and skin graft from my leg and put it over the spot that wouldn't heal, and got some tissue under there, so it finally stopped bleeding, and that was a big long ordeal.
I was just going to say, clearly you had a long ordeal of not a lot of fun time. And for the benefit of audio or the transcript for anyone who's reading, hence probably why you're wearing the hat today, because if people saw it, they might freak out.
Yeah. People, it's the scars. When I was teaching kindergarten, I would go in there with bandages on my head because I was still having like lots of surgeries, and the kids were at first scared me. It was my head was swollen, and they thought I looked like a monster. I did look like a monster. And
you could have starred in a remake of Beauty and the Beast, huh?
Yeah. Then I would show them my head, and then all they'd want to do is just see my head, the scars and the bandages and the stitches and the staples, and
yeah, it kind of turned into a oh cool, look at that kind of thing, huh?
Yeah.
Well, let's pivot again back to the book, because you have a word in the email I have here that generally isn't associated with a book. You called it an automemoirography.
Yeah. It's I put autobiography and memoirs together. And
a memoir is normally autobiographical, but obviously this show name is a word I invented.
Yeah.
So you can obviously, Constitutionalist Politics Podcast, Constitutionalist, Christian-based U.S. Constitution, our Judeo-Christian foundations. But anyway, not here to talk about faith. We're here to talk about music today. But so, you could see I love wordplay and inventing words. So when I saw automemoirography, that alone was enough to say, okay, I want to talk to this guy. Hold the book up again for those, the benefit on the behind the screens. And for audio and the transcript, it is Lucent Associations Jazz, automemoirography of music, mischief, and madness.
I play lots of different kinds of music. I play classical and jazz and bluegrass and rock, and I've done a lot of different projects. I learned how to play classical music from classical violin from a woman who was Jascha Heifitz's protege. She taught me how to do a lot of things. She introduced me to the Paganini caprices when I was like 17, and I struggled with those. I can only play the 4 Paganini caprices that mortal men can play, but I do those.
There are music gods that can play the other ones. You're saying,
yeah. And then I went to the San Francisco Conservatory and studied violin and viola there. And then I went off campus to study jazz with a fiddle player named David Balakrishnan, and he was a jazz.
I can't wait for I can't wait for the AI that does the transcription to screw up that name. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, David was a violinist in the Turtle Island String Quartet, the jazz string quartet that was around. They're still around, and then I learned how to play bluegrass playing with my dad when I was growing up, and listening to Kenny Baker records. I'm a disciple of Kenny Baker. He's the best fiddle player of the 20th century. And he didn't make it to the Bluegrass Hall of Fame until he was 73 years old. But he played with Bill Monroe and lots of different characters in the bluegrass scene back when bluegrass was really being made. It was turning from old time music to bluegrass. And then I played rock. I wrote I wrote rock songs when I was in college.
I think I know where this is going because it's where I was going to lead next. You said you've had various projects. So you kind of done violin metal with Jonah Belly of the Whale, right? You told me it's kind of metal. Yeah. So you did viola metal.
Violin, yeah. I had a 5-string violin. I had a cello player that I played in a string quartet with for a few years, named Sam, and he and I started jamming together and writing songs. And then I went out to I got asked to play on a fusion record with Jason Newsted of Metallica, and from there, I wrote these songs and I recorded them on a little 8-track and brought them to him. And he said, "Yo, you want to re-record these?" He liked one of the songs, and so that he produced our first demo, which was cool.
Yeah. Now, for the benefit of the younger, well, both younger and older audience that don't know the ins and outs of music, I wrote and recorded on 8-track. Also, when we're talking 8-track, we're not talking like my dad's band, an 8-track tape that you put in your 8-track player in your car or your home stereo. We're talking about a reel-to-reel player that has 8 tracks on the tape. There's 8, there's 12, 16, 24, 48. God knows how many tracks are. Well, actually, I was going to say probably nobody records on reels anymore, do they? It's all digital now.
I recorded the last 2 records. Well, all the records I've done analog. But the 8-track was a Tascam 8-track that took a little cassette tape, and then I
layered onto a standard 2-track cassette, huh?
Yeah. Well,
interesting.
It was cassette, yeah, that was they made little grooves for all 8 tracks.
Interesting. Right? Assume make an ass out of you and me. I made the assumption you were talking the standard reel-to-reel that had 8 tracks. A standard reel-to-reel normally has 4, but for musicians, they have 8, 12, 16, 24, 48, blah, 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 blah. Probably 2 in the weeds, even for Music Weeks, for most of the audience to go there. But let's pivot. I don't know anything about this, but you mentioned a song that you were really proud of called Epiphany. So what about that?
Epiphany was written about the death of I went to the funeral of my favorite aunt, and my favorite aunt used to be was born a man and had was transsexual, but one of the first transgender operations back in the 1960s, and then she became a fashion model and a supermodel in the 70s and 80s, which was pretty. She was always really generous with her money, with her nieces and nephews, and she was my favorite aunt. And she died. She committed suicide, and at the funeral, this song came to me as I was sitting in the pews, and it's called Epiphany. And she was a devout follower of Jesus, which I really brought into the song. One of the lines is find someone that some call Jesus. If you're feeling sad, just call his name. And so that all the lyrics to that came to me in the melody when I was in the funeral. So it's got a lot of I can't remember the name of the word right now. A lot of memories when I play that song. So.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. So it has very deep reminiscent. There we go. Yeah. Now I got Little River Band reminiscing in my head, but that's another whole story right there. But and normally I wouldn't dig into this, but I'm a suicide attempt survivor myself. So I understand times of struggle and issues. And so obviously your favorite aunt was struggling and indeed took own life. Normally I wouldn't go here, but since you kind of brought it up, I just want to clarify or deal in fact here. Was she born an actual, the rare cases of the hermaphrodite where she had both sex organs and opted then for elimination to keep just the female organs, or indeed was born a male with male chromosomes and decided to transition?
Yeah, she was born a male, and it's she has a really interesting story becoming a supermodel, and then ended up committing suicide. I'm actually I hurt my head by jumping in front of a train, so that's all that's in the memoirography, what was going through my head and things like that.
Interesting, very interesting. So just to, it'll be meant, whoops, I dropped my pen. We've mentioned it a few times, but I'm going to mention it again just so, they say try to mention things 3, 4, 5 times to get things to sink into people's heads. So indeed, the automemoirography is Lucent Associations Jazz, automemoirography, I can barely say that word, of music, mischief, and madness. And so the book obviously goes into a whole lot beyond just the music.
Yeah. There's a lot of mental illness stories. My mother and father, my mother has schizophrenia, my dad bipolar disorder, and they had some problems with substances, and so growing up with them was really traumatic, and it was challenging, and my brother and I went through a lot of abuse and just a really hard growing up. We were
well, this is kind of deep and dark stuff. Not necessarily, again, I don't script show, so I mean, the rabbit holes just kind of open themselves up to go there. But I certainly don't want to drag you down and dwell on this. So let's go back to the more fun stuff, the music stuff. Have you done a gig recently?
I was just playing at a BART station this morning. I played a funeral. I played a corporate party last Saturday and a funeral last month where I was playing. I played a lot of rock songs on violin. So I'm doing this project where I'm recording a lot of songs, just solo violin. Like I've done a couple David Bowie songs and Queen.
So now this ties to the other episode. With the Bowie impersonator. Yeah. So that's cool. Now, do you regularly play a particular station that we could give a shout out to that people who might be hearing in the San Francisco area, I can't talk, area might decide, hey, let's go check out Benjamin at what BART station?
Mondays through Fridays, I'm at either Embarcadero or Montgomery. And then Saturdays and Sundays, I'm at the Palace of Fine Arts from like 11 to 11:30 to 2, playing if it's sunny, if it's not raining.
So Monday through Friday, is there usually a time frame you're there?
Between 7 and 9:30.
AM or PM?
AM.
Okay.
And then I play in the PMs. I play in the afternoons, maybe 2 or 3 days a week when I'm not teaching at Montgomery. So I live a block away from Montgomery Station. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, don't dox yourself. We don't want anybody showing up at your door. Now they're going to be wandering around outside the Montgomery station trying to find you, knocking on doors. Hey, does Benjamin Barnes live here? We got to keep a sense of humor these days, right? Or we'll go insane.
Yeah. It's a lot of healing is music and humor, and my nonprofit is doing an initiative called Music for Mental Health, and we're going to we're working on the loneliness epidemic, and we're taking concerts and classes, arts classes to mental illness clinics in San Francisco and rest homes for a lot of the mentally ill and elderly experience a lot of loneliness, and it leads to poor health and like a lot of suicide attempts and things like that. So.
Yeah, this is another one of those almost divine intervention, happy, well, not necessarily happy, but I mean circumstantial side relations. I just got done in February, the last 2 weeks of February, with Health Weeks guests.
Oh, yeah.
5 different episodes in the last 2 weeks of February dealing with Health Weeks. So now, in a way, you're an extension of Health Weeks also.
Yeah, it's strange coincidences.
Yeah, well, I've got another guest, too, that I've not recorded yet, Christy Jock or Jaquez. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. people screw up my last name. It looks like Leonard, but it's not French. It's Leonard without an O. Hers is Christy, Jacques. So generally would think that's French, and not sure how that's pronounced yet, since I haven't talked to her yet. But she also music and health issues. So there's a common extra unexpected subthread happening here with health.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just like you were all meant to be on Music Weeks to coincidentally also relate to Health Week's extension.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Joseph M. Leonard, host of Christitutional, taking a brief moment to thank myarchic.com. Together we share the Christian and family value of honoring family. myarchic.com helps you do that. Preserving family memories online also therefore can be shared online. Think of myarchic like a Noah's Ark for images, audio, video, preserving, honoring your family. Thank you again to the folks over at myarchic.com.
Yeah. And interesting, the French thing, my mom, her last name was Fayette, and she claimed to be descended from the Marquis Lafayette, who came from France in the Revolutionary War. And
interesting.
I got some of that in Lucent Association's jazz. I don't know if it's true or not. It's just she used to tell us about it when we were growing up, and she got a book called The Little General, and she'd read that to us. And that was an interesting little thing.
Yeah. Well, yet another classic example of how and why I don't really want to know a whole lot about my guests, and for I don't script my shows, never knowing what rabbit holes will open up. And that's a nice history rabbit hole that kind of opened up.
Yeah, this the relations with the Native Americans and the Blackfeet Indians. They were General Washington told, or he put Lafayette in charge of the Indians that were fighting on the revolutionary side, and so.
And that's a whole lot of history people don't know because it's not taught in schools. And in another weird connection, my now ex-wife was part descendant from Blackfeet heritage. So these are all weird, wonderful coincidences as we're talking.
Yeah. My mom's, she was Filipino and French and Chinese and Blackfeet Indian. So
quite a blend there, huh?
Yeah. It was, she was a beautiful woman. A lot of mixed features,
which gave her probably a very own and very unique look herself. Then, I nothing to do with music and whatnot, and I've not done a show on this or an episode on this yet, but I've been on other shows where the question of beauty comes up. Right as the saying goes, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. And I absolutely agree. I think because I find a whole lot of different people attractive for different reasons. I created what is called the beauty categories. There is drop dead gorgeous that most people, oh, that person's drop dead. There's cute, what I call terminally cute. I call it the tale of the two Emmas. Emma Watson, who I put in the terminally cute category, and Emma Stone, who I put in the intriguing category, because she too has a very different kind of look. And indeed, a lot of people think she's beautiful. I'm one of them. But yeah, there's Drop Dead Gorgeous, there's intriguing, there's a terminal cuteness, there's, all these different really categories of beauty that indeed make up for the beauty is in the eye of the beholder proof, in a way.
Yeah.
Your reaction to that, even though that's way off topic for this discussion.
The beautiful, it's a malleable word to think about it, and put it into categories. That's kind of genius.
Well, thank you. My ex-wife would certainly never associate genius with me, but that's a whole other story too.
Yeah.
She also thought I was funny at one time too. So I do, because I'm AKA Jokester Joe on Savaged Unfiltered, and again, whole other territory not to go down. But yeah, beauty and humor too. That's another where there's really kind of different categories, and not everybody's just going to be the same. I like to say I'm the king of the lame puns. I will never pass on a lame pun. So,
lame puns. What's a good lame pun?
Oh, well, a Joe original. It exists in my Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You book. Obviously, very serious topic, but there's a comic relief chapter. I like to say, even as a suicide attempt survivor, look, things are way too serious and we get caught up in the seriousness too much at times. We got to keep a sense of humor. So a Joe original joke is, to be or not to be is truly the question. Because if it's to be, I got bingo.
Exactamundo.
An example of a Jokester Joe lame pun, Joe original joke there, a Shakespeare joke. But again, whether somebody laughs at that or not isn't necessarily the important point. Even if they cringe, getting a response from them and a way of getting out of the seriousness of what's going on in their head can be a valuable thing. And to bring it back to music, while you're here, music is indeed the same thing. It can be an escape from the serious reality of whatever's going on at our time.
Yeah, it can focus you on different aspects of your life than the hard times that you may be having. And there are a lot of therapeutic things for music that bring original or unique qualities to people's recovery. And also it's great for memory care for the elderly. Loneliness, it creates music is like a universal language. Everybody has some sort of reaction to music, and they understand music in their own way. You can, and most music has its own character. Like there's sad music, there's happy music, there's angry music, there's so that,
and all kind of have a place to distractions or an outlet for what mood you're in, so that indeed we're not running around breaking things.
It's
okay. Well, I think we've kind of come full circle, and before my OCD ADHD brain takes us down some other weird rabbit hole, let's wrap it up, because we've indeed music, health weeks, Music Weeks and Health Weeks again together. And it was like almost divine intervention that I almost grabbed a Kiss shirt, but I decided Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. And it's like a divine intervention because that brought a story out of you, out of opening for them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like that. It's like that can't be coincidental to me.
Yeah, God has a way of putting things in order of priorities when we're doing things like putting on shirts and stuff. It just subliminally guides us.
Yep. Okay, so to find you, the best place is thestrollingviolinist.com. And again, this show is heard on 20 plus audio platforms, 5 video platforms, and transcripts can exist at any of those sites. But the best transcript is via Buzzsprout, where my show is housed and uploaded to the episodes. The transcript there is a far more extended than just what you and I have said during the episode. In that Buzzsprout transcript, they'll be able to find the extended show notes, including related links, which will, of course, include a link, a display of the strollingviolinist.com. And since we kind of linked related to Health Weeks, I'll put links to all the Health Week shows. I spoke with a rapper as part of Health Weeks because DPB has got a song out about peer pressure. That's a mental health issue. So it is just amazing how, like you said, God works in mysterious ways. These can't be coincidences. They're all kind of just confluences coming together with some help from above, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Benjamin Barnes. I haven't said your name enough during the episode for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you taking the time. Take care. God bless.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for having tuned in for Constitutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM is your conservative flamethrower. Weekdays, Steve Gruber starts things off at 6 a.m. Gruber gives his perspective on the issues of the day. At 9 a.m., Glenn Beck blazes the airwaves with his nationally syndicated program. From noon to 3, it's Dennis Prager. At 3 o'clock, it's Wham's own Theron X. On the Edge, Theron tells it exactly as he sees it. At 6, it's The Dana Show, your conservative alternative. At 8, don't miss Joe Pags. Weekends are filled with conservative talk as well. Fingers Malloy, Thomas LeDuc, The Abolitionists Roundtable, A Moment of Clarity with Pastor Rick, Your American Heritage with Ed Bondarenka, Dave Janda's Operation Freedom, and Dick Kupke's Trigger Talk. You can even get links to Wham podcasts from Dave, Dick, and of course Theron, all from their pages on our website, whamradio.com. Keep it locked on Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM in southeastern Michigan, and whamradio.com anywhere in the world.